So this video is gonna be a little bit different than what I usually do and have done in the past. Before I only did podcast type videos or where I just discuss a topic uh, if it's connected to psychology in some way. But this time I kind of want to try something different. So please do tell me what do you think of the video and this different types of video I'm making right now. If you like it, I'll continue. Um, so, as some of you maybe know, I'm a psychology student in Virginia, and this is a video about how you can make a great first impression. Many people actually feel like they made a bad first impression after they just met someone. Either it was not a good handshake or whatever, or just not introducing themselves in a good way. A lot of people feel like this, and these are just some tips. I personally, before, not anymore, I've changed it, but before, when I met someone, I was too concentrated about my posture and body language and just trying to look a certain way that I always forget the person's name. And forgetting a person's name after you just met him or her is not a good first impression, guys. You have to remember these things if you wanna make a great impression. But anyways, here's the list. I'm gonna go through them and hopefully help you. Enjoy, guys. So a very important thing to do when introducing yourself, and especially when shaking the other person's hand, is eye contact. But this can be a little bit tricky for some people because too much eye contact at introduction can be uncomfortable and a bit creepy. So for some people who have trouble with maintaining a good timing with eye contact, is when you're introducing yourself and shaking someone's hand, is to take note of their eye color, because this is the exact amount of eye contact you have to do for it to be perfect. So just take note of their eye color, remember it, and that's the perfect amount you should make. Now, a problem that I had when I met someone and I introduced myself was that I forgot the other person's name very quickly, and this is because I didn't concentrate on the name or the other person. I concentrated more on myself, because I wanted to make a good first impression, and eventually this led to me making a horrible first impression. Well, not horrible, but not the optimal first impression. Many people, as I mentioned before, concentrate too much on themselves and forget the other person. Remembering the other person's name is critical. It establishes your sort of authority, and it shows that you're a trustworthy person, because after the person has told you their name, it is good to use it, just to show that you are listening, that you're a good listener, that you're there with them, and this establishes very crucial trust, and could lead to a better relationship if you choose to engage. Many people make a bad first impression when they choose to introduce themselves. It's about timing. If you see a group of people talking with each other, this doesn't mean that you can't go and introduce yourself, but you just have to read the body language. You can go and say hello. When they turn around, if they turn just their bodies and head but not their feet, then you're not welcome. Then you're interrupting something, and this is not the optimal time to make an introduction. But if they do turn their heads, body, and feet towards you, that means that they are welcoming you, and you can make an introduction. If you want to establish a friendship or some sort of relationship with someone you newly met, a good way to build on this relationship is to ask them for favors, actually. And I know what you're thinking. Isn't that just gonna put restraint on the relationship, or make the other person think that I'm using him or her? Well, depends what kind of favors you ask, of course. Don't ask for $500 if you just met the person. This I would avoid. But small favors, because when you ask someone for a favor, uh, they instantly like you more because you trust them, and they appreciate the trust you're giving them. So this is a good technique, but try to find a balance of what to ask and what not to ask. So let's say that you move to a new city and you're looking for a couple of new friends. There are some tips that could help you. Say you meet a group of friends and you're trying to fit in, and you want to understand what's what, who's who in the group. Well, a simple technique is when you laugh all together, when the group of friends laugh together. This shows a lot. For instance, when something hilarious happens and everybody's laughing, you wanna take detail to who's looking at who while they're laughing, because the person you look at when you're laughing is the person you're most comfortable with. So you can see if somebody's looking at someone who's not looking back or at them, or you can just see who's who in the group and what's what, and it could perhaps make it easier for you to not step on any toes, or well, just fit in. Now sometimes you're maybe the kind of person that when you meet new people, you wanna establish some ground rules, like show people that you want the respect. Now, as a psych student, I find nothing wrong in this. If you demand respect, fine, just do it in a normal way. Now this is a trick where you can make someone respect you a little bit more. Doesn't have to mean anything, depends on the person, on the situation, but it's a little subtle trick that might do the work. Now some people can't live, they can, but they really need validation when they're talking. This is why you see that majority of people, when they're speaking to each other, they're nodding their heads all the time. When it's nothing special happening in the conversation, they're just nodding their head because they both want to be comfortable in the conversation and want to agree with each other. But if you find someone who needs this attention all the time, that they want you to nod their head when they're speaking to know that they're not saying the wrong things, a great tactic is to just stare at them until they finish speaking and then continue, because this will make them show more respect to you. Because if you just nod all the time, you're just agreeing. But if you're looking at them and not have any facial expressions while they're speaking, and just listening to them, analyzing, looking them in their eyes, they will have respect for you. If you're like me, then you hate when somebody interrupts you while speaking. For me personally, I despise it. I feel disrespected, and I do not approve. But when you're speaking and somebody tries to speak over you, there's a trick you can do actually, and it's just keep talking, keep saying what you're saying. The problem is most people do the mistake of raising their voice when somebody tries to speak over them. Now this is a mistake. This just proves that you're falling into their play. What you want to do is you want to concentrate on talking on the subject you were talking on with the same volume. Do not raise your volume. Eventually they will stop speaking, and they're probably gonna feel dumb, because it's gonna sound completely different when somebody tries to interrupt you and you just keep that calm voice and speaking about the thing you were speaking about. Now this psychological trick I like very much, and this is a trick that's been constructed lately by everyone. What I mean by this, and I think everyone's gonna recognize this one, when somebody calls you and asks you for a favor, and you really can't do that favor because you're busy or whatever, you feel the need to explain, to make them believe that you're not just blowing them off, that you actually have something to do. What you want to do is you just want to say, no, I can't do that. Finish. Might throw people off a bit, but they're gonna appreciate the difference, because everybody else will try to explain. Whether they could or could not is a different story, but everybody's gonna try, no, I swear I can't do it, I have to go and do this. And you're gonna throw them off a bit, but they're gonna respect you in the end. Going back to some primary biological likes of the human being is being touched. But this one can be a bit tricky. You don't want to touch somebody in the wrong place and make it uncomfortable. There's no coming back from that one. You want to do some subtle touching if you want to get closer, and if you're the type of person. Personally, me and my friends maybe fist bump sometime, but there's no more touching than that. That's just the type. That's just the type I am. But if you're the type that likes to touch people, that sounds pretty weird, but you understand what I mean. Just make sure you're doing it right, because people do appreciate other human contact. So this is a way you can establish trust also. Now, the past 9 things I've talked about have been about establishing trust and demanding respect, pretty much. So the last one, I want to go out on some more positive, and it's the simple act of raising your eyebrows. Because when you raise your eyebrows, subconsciously it tells you that you're not giving off any threats, which will make people instantly be more receptive and comfortable with you. Guys, that was my video. It was the first of its kind in this style, so there's surely some flaws in there. I am aware. I would appreciate if you tell me what I could do better. It was really fun to do these kind of quick facts and a little bit of information behind them types videos. I'm not the first one. I know a lot of people have done these kinds, especially when it comes to psychology, but I really want to make something different, because I do have some knowledge of psychology. If you want to check out my other videos, or my one other video, there'll be more in the future. You can check it out, subscribe, and see you next time, guys.